I worked hard for years for a family vacation, but my son refused to go.
Well, was it boring?
I, 48 male, have been married to my wife for 13 years. I have a son who's 18, and she has a son who just turned 19. When they were younger, the boys were extremely close, but they slowly drifted apart as they got older. A big part of that, I believe, was the financial disparity between what I could provide and what my stepson's biological father, who was very wealthy, could give him. Over time, that difference became more noticeable and harder to ignore. By the way, this comes from user Amoeba United 4634, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily because we don't have all the answers to all life's problems. We only know like what we know. So if you know stuff we don't know, why don't you tell us, please? My stepson had the kind of childhood where he went on frequent mini vacations, participated in expensive activities, and had nicer things overall. My son did not have those same opportunities. I shared custody with his mother until she passed away 6 years ago, and between the two of us, we did our best to give him good memories. Even though we could not match what my stepson's other side of the family could afford, we tried to make up for it with time and care. Still, the difference was always there. As the boys grew older, my son became more aware of that gap. I always tried to reassure him that it was not his stepbrother's fault and that different families simply have different levels of resources. Unfortunately, that explanation never fully eased the feeling. Their relationship did not become hostile and they still talk to each other, but they are no longer close. There's a distance between them that was not there when they were younger. During the summer between my son's sophomore and junior year of high school, I finally received a long overdue pay increase. I decided I wanted to do something truly special for him. I began saving for a real vacation, something my son had never experienced before. Over the course of more than 2 years, I managed to save over $15,000. This trip was meant to be something meaningful and memorable for him. Originally, the trip was planned as a family vacation with both boys included. I booked a week-long lodge trip for winter break from December 13th to December 20th. Both boys are in college now, and the timing worked out perfectly since my stepson finishes finals on the 8th and my son on the 11th. When wife told her son about the trip before I had the chance to tell mine, so he already knew he was included. I booked everything in mid-November and planned to tell my son once it was fully finalized. When I finally told my son, his reaction was immediate and emotional. He lit up and could not stop smiling. This would be his first real vacation and his first time traveling far outside our state. He kept thanking me, and I felt incredibly proud that I could finally give him something like this. However, when I mentioned that his stepbrother would also be coming, his expression fell instantly.
Honestly, I think it should have just been like a you and him thing. I think that would have been a little bit more meaningful for him. I don't think it should have been like, if it's a graduation gift, I think it should have been like just a you and him thing.
I asked him what was wrong, and he told me he assumed the trip would just be me and him, or maybe me, him, and his stepmom. He never thought his stepbrother would be included. He explained that every time he finally gets something special, it never feels like it's truly his, because his stepbrother has always had so many opportunities. This trip felt like the one thing that was supposed to be just for us. Hearing that was difficult, but I understood where he was coming from. To be fair, many of the smaller outings over the years were just me and my son. Sometimes my stepson joined us, but not always. Still, I understood that this trip was different. This was something my son had never had before, and he wanted to experience it without feeling overshadowed. I told him that I didn't feel right excluding my stepson, as this was meant to be a family trip. I also explained that everything had already been booked, and changing or canceling plans would mean losing a significant amount of money. My son eventually forced a smile and said he was fine. A few days later, he texted me and said he didn't want to go on the trip at all. He thanked me for planning it, but said he would rather stay home. I called him immediately, and although he insisted it was not about his stepbrother, it became clear as we talked that it was. He said he didn't think he'd be happy on the trip if his stepbrother came along and did not want to bring the mood down for everyone else. That message stayed with me. After that conversation, I asked my wife how she would feel if the trip became just a father-son trip. She was very upset at first and said it would be wrong to set a precedent of excluding family members from vacations.
You already kind of have that precedent. Like, obviously is going with his father, but not to the son, not to Obi's son.
But it's not.
It is different. I get that. Obviously, it's not his dad.
You know what? My advice is always to become unbotherable, okay? Become less botherable. I explained that the trip ended up being significantly cheaper than expected, and the leftover money could be used for a family trip later, so everyone could still enjoy something special together. I also told her that my son never asks for anything, and I really planned this trip with him in mind. She eventually agreed, though she was clearly uneasy, especially since her son had already been told about the original trip and was understandably upset when he learned that he could no longer come. Am I the a-hole? Comments. You're the a-hole. The
Okay.
trip was already planned as a family trip, and stepson was invited. Your son wants to throw a tantrum about it, and you just let him. He had plenty of one-on-one time with just you, per your post, and he still wants to be difficult. He had one-on-one time with me, but it was always small things like movies or dinner. He never had anything close to an actual trip. That's why this felt different to him, and why he wanted it to just be us. OK Conversation 9750 says, did stepson's bio dad ever offer to include your son on trips? Because this is seeming a bit one-sided to me, with everyone saying you were wrong to exclude the stepson, yet there's no mention of stepson's dad including your kid.
I don't think OP's wrong here, so I partially agree with that commenter, but also stepdad has literally no contact with OP's son.
OP replies, no, my son was never invited on trips. I know you're getting pounded with you're the a-hole, but I feel quite a bit of sympathy for you, OP. I think your intentions were good. So, not the a-hole there, but how often does your son really ask you for something? Is this the first time he's done something like this? I think that is a very important consideration. He's been going along with all of it, but feeling more and more bad until he finally couldn't contain it anymore. And I just kind of shake my head at all the holier-than-thou judgments about how your son is an a-hole. He told you how he really feels and simply asked that the vacation be the two of you together alone. Did he have a tantrum and explode? Did he cuss and yell? Or did he just ask and then quietly withdraw? Listen, I think, unlike others, that you're actually on a bit of a knife's edge, OP. Sometimes with our kids, they don't express themselves well. They are still young. Communication can be very rough. It can swing wildly between no talk to too much emotion all at once, and we older adults need to give them grace. If your son has been holding back a lot of these feelings of resentment and wanting to do something special and be celebrated just by you, for once, then I think you have to pay careful attention to all the factors, because this could become one of those deep grievances that your kid just can't or won't get over. And that would be sad. Sometimes our children really want to just know that we prioritize them and value them. And we have to show it and prove it. We have to remember just how insecure our children are and how much they need us. So I don't have judgment for anyone in this case. I do think it was bungled and you would have had done better to talk to your son earlier. I mean, the stepbrother got to know before he did. I really hope you can salvage this and it doesn't sow a seed of bitterness that leads to buried grievances and estrangement later on. Please update me. OP says, yes, he hardly asks for anything. For birthdays, Christmas, or other special occasions, he would never ask for anything and would always say it didn't matter or that he didn't mind.
Aww.
He was never ungrateful. That's part of why I really wanted to give him this trip. I always felt bad that I couldn't give him the things his stepbrother had. He just got quiet and resigned when he told me that. He didn't yell or anything. This bushy shrew replies, yeah, I'm going to stand by my previous comment. When you have a child who is quiet, like yours, and mine is too, you have to be more vigilant as a parent to really take the time to assess their feelings and how deep they run. Honestly, I would tell your wife and stepson that this is a big deal. It's serious, and that you're sorry, but you need to really take care of your son and focus on him and show him that his feelings and wants are important to you. I just have a weird feeling that if you don't, you will really come to regret this much later when it's too late. Sorry for the doom and gloom, but my mom radar just went off with your post. Another edit here to say the fact that your son got very quiet and resigned, he is this close to giving up. It's not when they are screaming and yelling that you should get scared. It's when they withdraw and pull away. Then you're almost too late and you have to act. Another 2 cents from a supportive parent. And the son's relationship with his mom, they went out to eat often and that's about it. She passed away 6 years ago.
Yeah, I think you're doing all right, OP. I think you're doing the best you can. We don't always make the right decisions, but it's just how we proceed after making mistakes. That's important.
After reading the comments, I talked to my son more about it. He still didn't want to go on the trip. We tried to work it out, but he was firm. So my wife, my stepson, and I went without him. I thought maybe I could use the extra money to do something just for him later or keep saving for the summer. I had a good time on the trip, but I really missed having him there. I kept in touch while we were away and knew he was staying with my parents. When we got back, he still wasn't home. I called to ask when he'd be coming back, and he said he'd stay with his grandparents until school started. We spent Christmas Eve with my wife's family and then traveled to my parents' place on Christmas Day where he was. He mostly stayed in the guest room. I tried talking to him. He talked back, but minimally. And he told me he was fine. I tried to give him money for Christmas. He thanked me, but told me he didn't want it. I sent him a text the day after Christmas because I was hurt and didn't want him thinking I was trying to upset him. I even offered another vacation just for him and me, but he declined. He told me that growing up, he sometimes resented and felt jealous of his stepbrother. When I framed the trip as something special for him, he realized it wasn't really just for him at all. Watching his stepbrother's dad always give him experiences and things, he just wanted one of those moments for himself, something that was completely his, just me and him, without having to share. He said he just wanted us to experience something first. Something that was his, because growing up had been rough. His stepbrother went on trips often, got birthday celebrations and Christmas trips and other outings, and no one cared about how he felt. He said it hurt a lot to grow up watching all of that happen while he didn't get the same opportunities. And by the way, you have an opportunity to listen to full episodes of stories like this whenever you want by searching OK Storytime on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever it is. Just search the name of our show, and you can listen to a bajillion little episodes. You know, your wife passes 6 years ago. You probably, you know, there's a lot going on there. I think we really, you needed to get in front of this way earlier.
And maybe you tried, but it clearly, like, I think that commenter before was pretty spot on. When he's withdrawing completely, I don't know how you can get your relationship back with him.
He talked about how even on his birthdays or when his grandparents would take him out to a water park, his stepbrother always had to come along. He never understood why he was always forced to share experiences while his stepbrother got to do other things without him. He wanted something he could call his own, a moment just for him. When I told him about the trip, a lot of the happiness he felt at first was from thinking it could finally be something for him alone. Then he realized his stepbrother was going to be there, and that took it away. He admitted he was angry when he left to stay with my parents, but my mom told him to use that anger as motivation for school. Now, he's planning to focus on school so he can take himself on nice trips in the future, and that will mean more to him. He said he's okay with not doing anything with me right now, and that he's looking forward to the future, hoping he can afford the things he wants. He said he didn't want to feel like he's my second choice. I don't know. I feel hurt and guilty. I worry I might have messed up my relationship with him, and I don't know how to fix it.
But, like, I also don't know how to fix it.
You've been messing this up for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't think you were present enough to head this off. This is something that should have been talked out in deep explanation
way in advance.
Years and years and years ago.
Seems like he's kind of given up.
My mother excluded me from the party after asking me to cook for the family.
I can't do both.
I, 15 female, really like baking and cooking food. Most of the time, I'm making everyone little treats to try, or I'm cooking dinner for my family from our background. It is sort of one of my love languages. Often I will bring food to family events because my aunts and uncles are busy all the time and have little time to make food before they host parties and stuff. Because I'm not working yet, I have more time to make all this fun food. By the way, this comes from Mean Conference 7340, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKstorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Vincent.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in these situations, so let us know what you would do in the comments. So, on Christmas, we typically open presents at home and then all have lunch or dinner at someone's house. But this year, my mom said that we would not all be together. I was a bit upset, but was like, all right, that's fine with me. Then my aunt called me and asked if I had thought about what food I was making for Christmas night. I asked what she meant, and she told me she was having a party, and my mom promised I would make food for everyone. I did not really have a problem with that because, like I said, I love cooking, and it was early notice. So I was just like, oh, I will get ready at this time, and then I will have time to make the food. She asked why I would be getting ready. That is when she told me that it was an adult party. I asked for more info, and she mentioned that cousins my age were going.
What?
I was kind of upset and asked why I was the only one not going. She said my mom thinks that I'm just not mature enough for a late party. I told her it honestly just sounded like an excuse, and then I hung up. I went to my mom, and she did not see a problem with me not going. I told her that there was no way I was putting effort into that if I was being excluded. I started crying at this point, and it made my mom angry. She said I was being selfish and acting like a child. I kept pressing for a proper reason, but my mom kept saying, I do not want you going, and I am your mother, so that is that. My tone was very rude by this point because I was on the verge of tears. My mom said if I did not make the food, they would have to order food, and I would inconvenience everyone. I said, then order it, and ended the conversation. I called my dad, and he said that he would come down to where I live, and we could drive up to his place for Christmas so I could be with my family that wants me there.
Wait, this is for Christmas?
Yes! They're having like multiple parties, but this is like the adult party that she can't go to, but has to work for.
Yeah, go with your dad.
So even if I wanted to help now, I would be a 2-hour drive away. Basically, they have no food plans for the party now. I suggested local chicken shops that do delivery or even buying frozen food from the shops, but they are saying that they do not want to do that.
Well, then starve, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or just invite me.
Yeah.
Am I really that much of a party pooper?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not going at that point. I'm not making them food. They
True,
didn't
I
want me to come.
wouldn't want to come even if they
Yeah,
invited me at this
no,
point.
Too late.
While they did not want me there, I know everyone was counting on me for food. From their perspective, I am now saying no and being selfish because I wanted to spend the Christmas with my dad. I am usually someone who tries to see both sides, but this is really difficult. Of course, I am biased and my feelings are hurt, so an outside perspective would be nice. Thank you for any feedback. P.S. Sorry if this is confusing. Please feel free to ask extra things that I did not mention. I am incredibly tired right now and may have left some details out. And there are some comments. Struct Engineer says, not the a-hole. I'm very glad that your dad at least is there for you and actually wants to spend Christmas with you. I'm assuming your parents are divorced. Who has primary custody, or is it split 50-50? Could you talk to your dad about staying with him, since it seems like your mom doesn't want you around? OP says, yes, they're divorced and have been for a little bit of 5-ish years. Most of the time it's 50-50, but my dad got a promotion at work, so he works more often and just lets me stay at mom's when he's extra busy. But he does say, even if he is at work, I'm always welcome in his house, so I think he would not mind if I was there all the time. Hokey Pokey says, just curious, are the cousins your age that are attending male or female? Opie says, it's all got. Struct Engineer says again, has your mom done any other things like this recently? Basically using you for her own gain? Opie says, not that I've noticed or had a problem with. She often volunteers me to making the food or babysitting and things like that during family events, but at least I'm usually invited to those ones. Anyway, there's not much other situations that really bothered me or made me upset that I can think of off the top of my head. Cute Pangolin says, your family sounds like they might be of an ethnic background that has different values. If not, then they are real a-holes. Good for you and standing your ground. Merry Christmas anyway. Opie says, we have a Balkan background, but it's not the case where this is a sort of custom. Also, I think there's more Australian born than actual European born in my family by now. Merry Christmas to you. Another commenter says, not the a-hole. You are old enough to cook for the party, but not old enough to actually go to the party? That's not how it works. Who does your family think you are, Cinderella? But there is an update 3 days later. I hope everyone had an awesome Christmas. Feel free to chat in the comments about what you got, because I love talking about the holidays. I, for one, got a vintage car from my dad.
What?
Whoa.
Which was insane, and I started crying.
What?
Oh my god.
You're 15 and he got you a vintage car? Are you rich?
That's I mean, he did get a job promotion.
I
it
guess
seems,
so. Dang.
How much of a promotion?
But that's like a vintage car would
Yeah.
be, I don't know much about cars, but a lot of money.
Right. When I say crying, I mean I was bawling my eyes out. For anyone who knows cars, it's a Ford Falcon XY. I can't drive yet, but all I talk about is cooking and cars. He said I can have it for my collection until I can start driving it around, and he even insinuated that I could have more cars when he frees up his storage shed near his work. I could not stop crying because I was so insanely excited. By far, my best Christmas. I took a lot of comments into account, indulging the advice and the kind messages, so I was feeling confident in my decisions. So yes, I did end up spending Christmas with my dad. I was at home while mom was at work on Christmas Eve, and he drove hours to pick me up. I left mom a short message letting her know that I was with dad. That message was followed by 34 messages telling me that I'm basically the worst daughter ever. She didn't say those exact words, but that was the message. She kept saying how dare I leave without telling her, and how dare I spend Christmas not with my family. Then it turned into messages saying that she was going to smash my things and that she better not see me at New Year's because she was furious and didn't want to look at my face. I blocked her and removed the conversation, but before that, I copied the message I sent her into my notes. I'll paste it here. I look forward to Christmas with my dad's side, who were happy to see me. And guess what? I don't even have to cook for them. They aren't relying on a teenager to feed 30 people.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't even ever fed 30 people.
That's a whole lot of people. They're ordering food like normal people, like people who actually care about the people around them. Mom, I don't know what your problem was, but that whole situation hurt so bad, and you're the one person who's meant to be on my side if no one else is. I will see you after New Year's, and maybe we can talk. And my dad helped me write it. She kept messaging, but I blocked her so I'd stop getting spammed. I cried a little, but then I felt better. Me and dad got to the house, and you guys, along with the car, there were so many presents. I've never seen such a crowded Christmas tree in my life. I was ecstatic and felt like a toddler in a toy shop. Christmas itself was really nice. My dad's girlfriend is very sweet, and her son is really funny. He's one of those people you can tell is going to make a cool uncle one day, if that makes sense. I saw some comments suggesting making food and posting it just to piss off my mom. My dad had the exact same idea and laughed when I told him that my friends had said it too. I did end up baking, but it was with my dad's girlfriend. Her name is Annie, and she looks a lot like Jennifer Aniston. We made a classic Christmas trifle, Aussies know, and a Biscoff cheesecake that literally had me foaming at the mouth. She also loves baking and bought me a really cool book with fun and difficult recipes to try. I posted photos on Facebook, and Annie posted some on her Instagram that my aunt stalks, including a photo of me pretending to lick the cake. It was more of a fun little photo shoot than anything else. I'm sharing all of these nice things, so you know that my Christmas was really good, even with what I'm about to say next.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I'm so scared.
Oh no, this really does feel like OP is Cinderella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's not allowed to come to the ball, and she has to cook for everything and do all the chores.
Yes.
And then in the end, she gets to go live with like happily ever after in the castle.
Yeah. My aunt decided to post a long message on Facebook complaining about not having me there and saying that I abandoned the family. She then started talking badly about my dad and calling him names. I reported the post and then called her and told her to take it down if she ever wanted to speak to me again. I also told her not to talk badly about the one person who actually wanted me for Christmas and supported me. I was pretty much spewing words because I was so upset. And we spew words all day long. So you can listen to all those full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and just OK Storytime. I don't care about her Facebook friends talking crap about me, but my dad deserved better than that. She didn't say anything and just hung up, and about 20 minutes later, the post was deleted. After that, a lot of family members continued messaging me to yell at me. My dad told me to block them and enjoy Christmas, but then the spam calling started.
Oh, Lord.
I ended up having a panic attack during Christmas dinner, so he had to calm me down and take my phone for a bit until the notifications stopped. They finally stopped around midnight when everyone seemed to get tired of it. I think it's safe to say that I'm going to live with my dad full time. I'm upset and nervous because school and everything is set up with mom, but hopefully if I can't live with dad permanently, I can stick out 4 more years with mom. Once I get my full driver's license, I can be at dad's whenever I'm not at school. And there is an edit. I retrieved the messages after some commenters' advice. Thanks to everyone who let me know that it was smart to keep them. And that's the end of that story. Yeah, I would agree. That's very smart to keep them.
all the messages because your mom's weird. And also, I don't know, like you're like, oh, I don't know if my dad is going to be able to, you know, fix the school stuff. He's rich.
Yeah.
He's rich.
I'm sure you can figure something out.
He's got rich money. He can do anything.
Yeah.
I finally stopped chasing my father's love. Now my family's pushing me to reconcile.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
And there is a trigger warning for an argument turned physical. I feel pretty comfortable with my decision, but with how many times I have heard family members tell me, but he's your father, you'll regret it when he's gone. I wanted to get an outside perspective. I am in my late 20s, early 30s, and female. By the way, this comes from Comprehensive Day 8456, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit where this story comes from. And I'm Sophia.
I'm Angie.
And I'm Vincent with Keon back here.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. My father has never felt like a father to me. I have taken care of him more than he has ever taken care of me. My mother and father split when I was very young, and I have only a few memories of them being together. Growing up, he provided me with 2 stepmother-like figures. The first one, let's call her Emily, I never liked, and I always felt that Emily treated me poorly. When I was in 5th grade, I finally worked up the courage to say something to my father. My father immediately told Emily, and she confronted me about it with him present. When he left, Emily looked at me with hate in her eyes and spat out, "You just want your father's attention, you little witch." Emily and my father were always on and off throughout my life, and I never really knew how long each breakup would last. Each time I prayed it would be for good. But now I realize that was a mistake because the next one was far worse. The next one, let's call her Sarah, had kids younger than me, though they are not major players in the story, so I won't give them names or ages. The youngest is 4 to 5 years younger than me. I met Sarah for the first time when she came to my house with her kids. I had a great time with the children. However, the very first night they stayed over, they went to bed early. As the kids and I were watching movies downstairs, there came a banging from upstairs. It was the loud rhythmic thumping of a headboard against a wall.
No.
Oh.
Drama.
Oh my
No.
Oh, man.
The kids asked me what was going on. I was absolutely outraged and plucked up the courage to storm upstairs, bang on the door, and yell at them like a parent scolding a child. When I was in middle school, before he started seeing Sarah, it was just him and me for a while. I would get to his house before he got off work, and I would start cleaning up after him. I spent most of my time with my mother in middle school and was only at his house every other weekend. So when I say I was cleaning up after him, it wasn't my mess at all. I would start a load of laundry, clean the kitchen, and tidy the living room. After I tidied up, I would start making dinner with the groceries my father and I got at the grocery store the week before. I would keep dinner warm and have it ready for him along with a drink when he walked in the door. When Sarah started staying more often, I continued my routine of cleaning up after him, with the added annoyance of some of Sarah's mess to clean up as well. But when Sarah's kids started staying more, that's when I began to lose all respect for her. I would come home and the house would be a complete pigsty. There were mountains of laundry and DVDs were scattered all around the living room. My routine of cleaning continued until one particular day when I got home and started cleaning like normal. Sarah did nothing to help apart from cutting lettuce to go with the tacos I was making. OP sounds like the other 15-year-old. We got 2 Cinderella stories here.
Too many Cinderella stories.
Sarah had the audacity to say we didn't need to wait for my father to start eating. I told her I was cooking, so it was my call. And if I'm cooking, we eat when my father comes home. My father came into the house while I was in the basement changing the laundry over. As I was coming back upstairs into the kitchen, I heard Sarah taking credit for all the cleaning and cooking I had done. When my father asked if I had helped, Sarah said, well, I guess she helped a little. I was so disgusted with Sarah for taking credit for cleaning up a mess that wasn't mine and was mainly hers and her kids that I vowed I would never do it again, and I never did. This was the start of my loathing for Sarah. As the years went on, Sarah and her kids stuck around, and I became very fond of Sarah's daughter and protective of her. Usually when my father was drinking and driving, oh my goodness. I never said anything, but when I was in high school, we went on a family vacation. My father was driving on a windy, dangerous road after drinking all day.
Oh.
He was being reckless while driving. I spoke up and told him he needed to stop because what he was doing was dangerous, even if he hadn't been drinking all day. Sarah lost it on me, screaming that I was ruining her vacation. On this same vacation, my father became very violent with me. Sarah was upset with me, and my father went to talk to me about it. What he was telling me was hypocritical, and I let him know. He had been drinking all day, and when I tried to tell me he was wrong, he yelled at me over something he had defended when I had previously expressed frustration with Emily. He became enraged and it got physical. When I got home, I packed my things and had my mother pick me up at 2 a.m. That was the first time I stopped talking to my father. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Seems like probably the best. My father is a very manipulative person and used Sarah's daughter and my animal, which I had at his house, against me to allow him back into my life. As life went on, I graduated high school. My father showed up, but was late and left early. I hardly saw him at all. For my birthday, if I didn't come to him, he wouldn't make the 30-minute drive to visit me. He would, however, make sure to celebrate Sarah's kids' birthdays every year. When I moved further away, it was the same situation. I would ask if we could meet halfway, and my father always had an excuse for why he couldn't do that. Every time it made me feel like a kid again when my father didn't want to drive 30 minutes so I could visit him every other weekend. My father was not good to Sarah's kids either. When I was in college, Sarah's daughter confided in me that my father and Sarah had been having spicy sleep in the room next to hers with the door open and nothing to block out the sound.
Oh, no.
When Sarah's daughter confronted them, my father laughed about it, and it happened a handful of times. I was completely disgusted and couldn't sleep that night thinking of what I could say to make him stop. Later, with my hand shaking, I confronted my father about it. My father yelled at me, saying it was none of my business. I told him he made it my business when he left the door open, knowing Sarah's daughter was in the next room. To my knowledge, he never did it again. As the years went on, my memories with my father were more bad than good. I had some good times at his house with my animals while I was younger. I still had a relationship with him and I tried to keep in touch, but when I called him, he was short with me. This was especially painful because my father is the biggest talker you've ever met. We would stand in the grocery store as he talked for hours. It cut deep when every time I tried to reach out and have a relationship with him, he would end the conversation in 5 minutes or less. By this time, I really didn't want my father in my life. When I found out he threw away all of my childhood memorabilia that I had stored at his house, it was the last straw. I texted him telling him I was done and that we needed to talk. He said he would call me when he got home from work. My father, of course, got wasted before he called me and was more concerned about Sarah's daughter than me saying I was going to cut him off. When we finally talked, I told him I needed a few things from him if I were to keep him in my life. I knew he would never stop drinking, so I left that out of my demands. I wanted him to call me once a month with the conversation lasting at least 30 minutes. I wanted him to make an effort to visit me for my birthday, even if it was just meeting me halfway, because it was heartbreaking watching him celebrate Sarah's kids every year. Lastly, I wanted him to see me around Christmas every other year. By the way, you can see us or listen to us when you listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. It seems like OP doesn't want to go full no contact, but it makes sense if you did.
I get that it could be complicated. I could see OP growing up and really reflecting and processing everything and then deciding to go no contact.
Yeah, I think that would probably be for the best. When I finished, my father laughed and told me I couldn't make demands. I told him, well, then I don't want you in my life. Since then, my father tried to call me but never tried to amend anything. He only told others that I needed to talk to him. To which I always replied that if they wanted to give him my address, he could write a letter. I have blocked him and Sarah since. He sent me a birthday letter, which I sent back unopened. His only other attempts to reach out were when I set up one of his social media accounts and needed access to his account. It has been about 5 years and he has never sent a letter. I have had countless family members tell me he is blood and that I will regret it once he passes away. He has had a few accidents and some have suggested I reach out. I do not see the point in reaching out, as I still do not want him in my life and have been happier without him. All I can think of is how many times he has chosen his married family over me and always been last, and how all around toxic he is. Am I the a-hole for cutting him off?